Hi everyone, Lisa Haven here, and in today's report, I really want to hone in on the idea of what I believe the United States of America is going to look like under a Joe Biden presidency if he is elected president come this December by the Electoral College. And I really truly believe this is something we have to start looking into. And right now, Joe Biden has been fairly open about his plans for COVID-19, his plans for the internet, his plans for taxes, and so much more. But let's just dive right in to what I'm talking about here. Here we have MarketWatch.com, and this really details Joe Biden's COVID-19 plan for America. But it's titled, Biden's pandemic plan would restore Obamacare. Yes, you see that right. You know, Obamacare that quadrupled some of our healthcare insurance. Yeah, that Obamacare. Enforce mandatory mask, paid sick leave, and free COVID-19 tests. But that's not all. This other article here on the postmillennial.com also details more stuff, and that's it. Biden's COVID plans include increased spending, surveillance, as in contact tracing, massive contact tracing, and mask mandates. So basically, in a nutshell, Joe Biden plans on, well, implementing some kind of mandated mask requirement across the country. And he's already detailed that he's going to meet with governors. And if they don't comply, then he's going to go to mayors. And if they don't comply, then he's going to go to fill in the blank, right? Whoever he can get to follow his plan, he's going to get his mask mandate. Not only that, but he details his plan on contact tracing, right? And from the sound of it, it sounds a lot like George Orwell's 1984 book Coming to Life, where everything you do is literally tracked in the name of safety and security, of course, because it's a pandemic, right? But I can't help but shake this little eerie feeling in the back of my mind. Just imagine what some kind of dictator could do with that kind of power. Like if a Hitler or a Stalin had power to find, say Hitler had power to find the Jews, that would be insane. So I really can't shake that eerie feeling that this won't be abused, right? That's my opinion there. But moving on. That's not all he has in store. And there's a lot more that I get into detail, by the way, on all of that on restrictedrepublic.com. If you're not there, please get over there. And right now we've got a 14-day free trial, whether you're doing a yearly or a monthly. If you don't like it, you can, try it out and quit before the 14 days up and you're not charged anything. But I really expand on what I'm talking about here. And it's if Biden wins, we're screwed. Here's 15 things that can happen there. But check it out, restrictedrepublic.com, because I only got so much time to talk about things here. But not only are we talking about his COVID-19 plans, right? How about his plans for the internet here? And this is on foxnews.com. Tucker Carlson says a Biden victory would usher in the age of oligarchy. If Joe Biden wins, he says, the tech companies, the big bank, Beijing, and billionaire class will have won as well. That's a powerful statement. But he goes on to expand in the article here, and I encourage you to check it out. In this report, I'll leave a link in the description box below, but I'm just going to take out a piece. And here's what he says. It's insulting to say that Joseph Biden won the election. If that is what comes to pass, the tech companies will have won. The big banks will have won. The government of China, the media establishment, the permanent bureaucracy, the billionaire class, who, by the way, has been profiting massively off of COVID-19, they will have won, and not in the way that democracy promises. If a single person equaled a single vote, a coalition like that could never win anything. There aren't enough of them. Okay, but he expands. But as a group, right? They have something that Donald Trump voters sadly do not have. We do not have. And that is power. They have lots of power and they plan to wield that power, whether you like it or not. It's all starting to look like an oligarchy at this point. The people who believe they should have been in charge all along may now actually be in charge. That's terrifying, right? I can't say that I necessarily disagree with them because I feel like we're heading in that oligarchy, right? Where we have big tech organization, media, all working together with Joe Biden, with the Democrats, and we're being silenced behind the radars. And I can't help but ask the question, are those people now actually in charge? You know, we had JFK warning of this. We had Ronald Reagan warning of this. And we even have President Trump warning of these people being in a charge. Is that really what's happening in the United States of America. And if Joe Biden is declared the president, right, according to his top senior aide, and I'll show you this, they could be censoring us more because that's exactly what they're calling for. Take a look at this article here on zerohedge.com. Shredding the very fabric of our democracy, Biden aide signals a push for greater internet censorship. This is a senior Biden aide. And here's what he has to say. And I'm going to scroll up to the top here, and it's Bill Russo, okay? And he says, if you thought disinformation on Facebook was a problem during our election, just wait until you see how it is shredding the fabric of our democracy in the days after. Look what happened just in the past week, right? And then he goes on to reference Steve Bannon talking about beheading the FBI director. Look, I'm against that. I don't think anybody should be calling for violence and posting that publicly. But then he goes also and he talks about how people are talking about insurrection on the internet, but he fails to mention how those Antifa and BLM and many anarchist types that are on the left are talking about assassinating the president. And they're just allowed on Twitter, like Madonna and Johnny Depp called that out. But hey, they're allowed to thrive. He says nothing of that, right? But then he goes on and says this statement that is, let me just read it. Unsurprisingly, Breitbart was an early amplifier of the legitimizer of voter fraud, misinformation on Facebook, writing that the steal is on early Tuesday afternoon after citing numerous debunked conspiracy theories. In other words, Bill Russo, the senior advisor to Joe Biden, is saying you're not allowed to talk about election misinformation, election voter fraud, or inaccuracies in the election, or any voter fraud, because if you do, then you need to be censored off the platforms. Wait, what? For 4 years, you guys talked about Russia and interfering in the election and Russia collusion that was pushed to the top of every single feed, and you guys were allowed to talk about it. Nobody stopped it, even though the whole thing was crushed and proven incorrect, right? But yet, if you're President Trump or his supporters, you can't talk about what's happening. You can't talk about the same kind of stuff they were talking about prior. This is the suppression of a political side and a certain viewpoint. They've already told us you can't talk against vaccines. You can't talk about 9/11. You can't talk about against climate change. You can't talk about election interference or voter fraud. Doesn't matter if any of that, any science or any of that, you can't talk about it. This is the guy who has the ear of Joe Biden. So under Joe Biden, it's looking a lot like there's going to be censorship, right? Take a look at what's happening right now, right? Newsweek.com, Eventbrite pulls pro-Trump rally page, says March for the president over the election is harmful misinformation. Wait, what? A march, pro-Trump rally march, is misinformation and harmful? Here's the actual tweet. Amy Kramer. The March for Trump is not canceled. Eventbrite just shut down our event and emailed everyone that was on it that it is canceled. The march isn't canceled, by the way. First it was Facebook, next it was MailChimp, now it's Eventbrite. Big tech is shutting down our march, but we won't let it happen. And here's a letter from Eventbrite reaching out to March for Trump. We encourage our organizers to express their views and gather for a chosen purpose, as long as it's done in a way that doesn't violate our terms of service. We don't permit events or content or creator that share or promote potentially harmful information, like talking about election voter fraud, because you're not allowed to talk about that, or our community guidelines that is therefore not permitted on our platform. Wait, what? Yeah, that happened. Let's not forget what's happening to the president right now. And I'm going to go on over to the president's feed here so you can see it for yourself. And I'm jumping ahead. Here's Joe Biden's feed while I'm on Joe Biden. What I want you to notice on Joe Biden is none of his tweets are censored. All out there, no little disclaimer, because Twitter wants you to know that Joe Biden doesn't lie. Joe Biden's an amazing president. And look, there's no disclaimer because he's a good guy. He's not cray-cray like Trump, right? None of it there. But if you go on over to Donald Trump, right? I'm gonna plug this in. I'm gonna go over to Donald Trump here, and you start scrolling through his feed, you see a ton of these. This claim about election fraud is disputed. And you go down a little bit, right? Don't have to go very far because there's like a ton of them. This claim about election fraud is disputed. Look at this guy. He's such a liar. Again, there it is again, there it is again, right? And it just keeps going, folks. It doesn't stop. There it is again. This is the president of the United States who's literally getting a little disclaimer on his feed by Twitter because orange man bad, orange man bad. And this is the mentality they've been pushing in everybody's face. But don't worry, right? Because they have plans, Here's theatlantic.com. The internet speech will never go back to normal. In the debate over freedom versus control of the global network, China was largely correct, and the US was all wrong. In other words, China, who literally puts a social score on their people, and if they speak against the government, they get numbers taken away from their social score, and then they're not allowed to fly on planes, go on travel in airplanes or travel in trains, or send their kids to certain schools or go on certain dating apps. If you speak about the Communist Party regime, that's who they're saying that China was largely correct for censoring people on the internet. Because if you say anything bad about the Communist Party in China, you get that social score. Not to mention, they round up journalists who are speaking against the regime, and they round up Uyghur Muslims there in their re-education camps. And you're going to tell me, The Atlantic, that China did it right? Really? I am terrified of what future we're going to be heading into, right? And that's not all. Here we have why Twitter, and this is on the Federalist, won't let people share sworn court documents because they allege voter fraud. You can't even share actual, real documents that are in place. They classify that as voter fraud. But that's not all, right? Under Biden, let's jump into what if, right? He packs the courts. Now, we don't know if he's going to do that yet or not, but here's 5 ways, and this is on thefederalist.com, that America can fundamentally change if Biden packs the courts, right? It's another thing. We've got internet censorship. We've got all the COVID-19 task stuff that he's doing, and we've got if he were to change the court system here and pack the courts, what would happen? Well, here's just a couple things. Our gun rights, you can kiss those goodbye. Freedom of speech, you can kiss that goodbye. Abortion, well, it's already out there in the public. You know what's going on with that. Religious liberty, there will not be religious liberty. And election laws, they're going to change. They could, right? Change the election laws to benefit them in a way that they can allow certain votes, change the way things are done, change the electoral college, or whatever the heck they want, because they have control of the courts. So never, ever, ever again will we have a President Trump ever again, or anything like it. And God forbid, a conservative. This is a radical transformation of our country, and we need to understand that. And that's not all. What about Joe Biden's tax plan? Here's a Fox Business article, and it says Biden's tax plan could destroy 3 million jobs. Former Trump economist projects that's an awful lot of jobs, especially with talks of secondary lockdowns and mandates by Joe Biden's administration. Or how about this? The Detroit News, an opinion article, but it says Biden's economic plan spelled disaster for small business. And quite frankly, I believe that they do, right? But there you have it. A lot of things are happening. And if Joe Biden gets in, I don't know. I can't tell you with 100% certainty what we're going to look like, but I can tell you that these are the things he's going to try to get in place. So it really hinges on what and who is in control of the Senate. He's going to be limited a little bit depending on that, unless they get their blue wave, right? They already have the House for now, but we've gained more seats, thankfully, as Republicans, thank God, right? But it's going to hinge a lot on the Senate, whether or not this happens the way that Joe Biden is. He could be a sitting duck if that is the case, and that's what I hope for. Anyhow, please don't forget to check out my partner at healthwithlisa.com. If you guys haven't tried this multi-collagen here, I want to encourage you guys to check it out. I mix it in my coffee every morning, and it's just really been beneficial for my skin and my hair and my nails. And it's really easy to just mix right in every morning. But check it out at healthwithlisa.com. And right now you can get up to 51% off. Anyhow, thanks again for tuning in. I'm Lisa Haven, signing out.